Hey, I'm so glad you're here. Welcome to Mama Mandala. I'm Hagar. I want to say happy full moon, but I tend to avoid saying happy anything because happiness isn't always where we are, and happiness maybe doesn't have to be our aim. Maybe our aim can be meaningful. And meaning can be found in grief and in struggle, as well as in joy and in happiness. So, meaningful full moon to you. It's a full moon in Pisces. The sun is in Virgo. And these are two archetypes that complete each other. In fact, every time there's a full moon in one sign, the sun is in the sign that is on the opposite side of the spokes of the wheel of astrology. Now, I'm not an astrologer. I'm more of a mythologist. I love working with archetypes. I love bringing them into the body. We might have a moment with our breath today to bring these two archetypes together into our physicality, hopefully at the end. But the invitation here is not into believing in astrology and believing that these signs right now are what is in charge of you, but rather an invitation to see how to collaborate with a certain kind of quality that lives in all of us. Now, to top it off, for extra fun and delight, this full moon is also an eclipse. So eclipses are often thought of as holding an energy that we shouldn't mess with. In ancient times, people were really afraid of it. Think about being in older times and not knowing what an eclipse was, when all of a sudden the sun or the moon were hidden from view. That could be really scary when you don't know what it is. So eclipses tend to be associated with an energy that is on the negative, I'm putting it quote unquote, negative side, something ominous, something scary, something dangerous, something in the uncertainty of life, something we should avoid. And a more new and different kind of way of looking at it these days is eclipses are opportunities to break frustrating, challenging, unhealthy habits, right? So, why not? Whether you believe that an eclipse has the power to help you break through some of your struggles with yourself, maybe some issues with whatever it is that you're dealing with. It can be self-image, it can be confidence, it can be habits, literal physical habits that are bad for you that you want to break out of, whatever it is. Why not bring ourselves into relationship with what's happening in the sky, with what's happening seasonally in the world around us? We are traveling right now in that liminal space, in that transition between summer and fall. And in fact, if you're interested in doing a ceremony to celebrate the transition into fall and the first phase of fall, please join us for the somatic ceremony to celebrate autumn. I'm going to leave a link for you in the description of the video. And this is an in-depth, powerful, transformative ceremony that includes myth and archetypes and stories from different traditions and bringing them together and then respectfully and then bringing them into the body through practices. There are so many powerful tools waiting for you there. So I will leave a link for you in the description of this video. But the point is, why not work with where the earth is? Why not work with where the moon is and where the sun is? Why not play with an eclipse? Whatever your set of beliefs or non-beliefs are around it, it's a portal if we choose for it to be. So the moon is full in the sign of Pisces, which is a sign of dreams and imagination, and it tends to move us into the spiritual. whatever that means for you. It's an archetype. It's the part of us. It's the part of society. It's the people around us that orient toward the non-physical, toward the ethereal. It's a mutable water sign, and it swims, to take Carl Jung's concept of the ocean of the unconscious. It's an archetype that swims in the unconscious, in the ocean, in the darkness, in the realm of imagination, in the realm of emotion, in the space that takes us away from the real world and the physicality of our being, and toward our dreams, and toward the mystical, right? So the archetype of Pisces is the mystic. It's someone who is very much involved in the unknown realms. And so the tendency in the shadow of Pisces is toward delusion and addiction and being so disconnected from reality that they're in their own world. There's escapism kind of quality in that. So as we move in to this eclipse portal, we can look at the places where we may be disconnecting ourselves from where life really is. Look, the news right now, it's horrific. It's so scary. Here in this country, democracy is on the line. We have, we're dealing with someone who might take us off the edge of human rights and women's rights and take us toward where only a certain aspect of our population is going to have power, and it's going to be power over the rest of us. So it's scary, right? So we can, on the one hand, go into fantasy land, kind of like a nightmare fantasy land around it, and be caught in the anxiety and the fear of it because of the imagination going wild at what could happen. Now, parts of it are going to be important. We're going to need, if we're going to really take this seriously as we should, we need to have a little bit of fear, right? If we don't have some fear around it, and if we're not nervous about it, then, you know, that's problematic. We have to have enough of it in order to get us moving. We have to have enough anger in order to activate actual steps in the world. And in fact, the actuality and the concrete things that we can do is what is alive and represented in the archetype of Virgo, which is what the sun is in. If you're hearing some serious sounds from outside, I apologize. Here we are. Maybe you're not hearing this, but I am. So we get distracted easily in our day and age. We get distracted by what is happening in the world. And the energy of Virgo helps us bring ourselves back to focus. It helps us create concrete actions, things that we can actually do about the issues that we are facing and dealing with. So we have these two archetypes on the opposite sides of one another, weaving together a rich tapestry of complementary, contradicting energies that allow us and invite us into a greater whole of ourselves and into the greater whole of society, and bring deeper complexity into form. Virgo is all about form. It's an earth sign. Now, both Pisces and Virgo are mutable signs, which means they are shifting us from one season into the next. So they are ushering a new season, right? We are at the end of summer now here in the northern hemisphere, and in the southern hemisphere, of course, it's the end of winter. So we're moving there toward the spring. But these archetypes have the possibility in them for us to bring together things that are things that are the opposite of one another and that are seemingly in contradiction in together to create a more nuanced view and to allow more aspects of ourselves to show up, right? More parts of ourselves to come to life. So we have this wild imagination and the turning away, right? Like things are hard. The world is difficult. So on the one side, we have all the fear and the nightmare fantasy of Pisces. But on the other hand, we have the escapism. I don't want to deal. I don't want to hear. I'm turning it off. I'm turning away, right? And to some degree, sometimes in order to keep ourselves sane, in order to not jump off the deep end with what's going on in the world, with war and with hatred and with bigotry and with racism, we can just turn ourselves off if we're privileged enough. But that is a sign of privilege, right? So we have to find ways to create enough space between ourselves and the feelings and emotions that arise through being present in the world, and keep orienting ourselves toward what's happening so that we can show up, so that we can be present, so that we can do something, right? So the breaking of patterns in the eclipse on the realms of Pisces can be both, hey, let's not get into nightmare fantasy horror show, right? This is sort of I think of conspiracy theories as a little bit of a Pisces shadow, right? Going so far and deep into some imaginary scenarios and situations and realities that we lose touch with facts, with what's actually happening, because we're so caught up in fantasy. And to not escape, to not turn ourselves away, to not turn ourselves off, but rather to bring ourselves to the world, to bring ourselves through form. And Virgo is an archetype of precision and discernment. So what's really beautiful, in a way, Pisces is that the ocean that embraces us all. It's the womb of the mother. It's Buddha nature. It's everything. It's all one. Virgo's like, yeah, maybe we're all one, but there's differences. And I'm discerning. Pisces might be like fully absorbing a conspiracy theory, and Virgo's gonna say, hey, let's look at this. Let's look at the facts. Let's look at what's in front of us. Let's look at what's here and also what's beyond here, but let's be discerning in the way that we're bringing ourselves to it. Let's not get caught in fantasy land and in delusion, right? Pisces brings us intuition and a depth of being, and Virgo brings us instincts, like physical, instinctual beingness and presence. Pisces wants to run away and expand into the infinite, and Virgo is right here, right now, in this moment. What do I have to work with? What can I do with it? Virgo brings with it this concrete wisdom. And Pisces brings with it the ability to dream and take us beyond what is here, right? Because what is our humanity if we're only working with what's here? If we're not allowing ourselves to think outside the box, to think beyond boxes, to think and look at things in ways that expand us and open us. Pisces is openness and an openness into the oneness of all. Virgo is discernment, and it's not close, but it creates very clear boundaries. Virgo is clean, and it's cleanliness and clarity in our being. And with Pisces, we might get swept into murkiness, right? Into the kind of space that doesn't anchor us in real life. But Pisces is beautiful because it's receptive and it's allowing. And we need that, right? We need to be that. We need to cultivate a little bit more openness. Think of the way that we look at what's happening in the world and at how we all, and all of us, not all because nothing is all, but I think most of us tend to put others a little bit, even when we try really, really hard, if we're aware of it and are really conscious of that tendency and come to terms with the shadow of it, we all put other people in certain boxes. We all tend to judge someone by something that they said, and especially with social media involved, then not see the whole person, right? So we need the Piscean kind of openness and compassion. It's beautiful. This compassionate, all-inclusive quality. We need a little bit more of it so that we move ourselves a little bit. We turn ourselves, we orient ourselves toward caring for one another and seeing that we're all a part of one thing. Like, how dare we do these horrible things to one another? And how terrible is it that the reaction to something horrible done to one group of people is to justify it and then to do something horrible to other people, right? And we see it in real life. We see it on the Virgo plane, in real life, in the physical world right now in the world. And we see it on social media. They're turning against each other, right? So Pisces invites us to receive one another and to allow space for one another. And then Virgo says, well, what kind of space and how, and where is the limit and where is the boundary? And when am I going to say, well, I am not going to make room for racism? I'll make room for the racist. They have to have space to live too. But I'm going to do everything that I can to fight against bigotry, to fight against anti-Semitism, to stand against Islamophobia. All of it, right? Like, why are we doing this to each other, right? So the openness of Pisces with the boundaries of Virgo is very powerful. And if we have an eclipse, we can invite ourselves to break through the patterns that are problematic in both. The kind of discernment that turns cold, the kind of openness that is too inclusive. You know what I mean? Like, there is such a thing as too inclusive. There's got to be a space where you go, well, that's actually not acceptable, right? So where is that line? And no one knows where that line is. It's a matter of exploring it and moving with it and asking ourselves. I think it's a matter of staying in the question. How courageous can we be to stay in the question and in the conversation? And an eclipse is like a question mark. It's a moment, a portal of uncertainty that allows us to hold nuance, that allows us to hold not knowing, that allows us to be receptive in that Piscean way, and knowing that we need to draw a line, but not quite knowing where, and talking about it, and holding each other in compassion and also accountable. Like, when we hear somebody say something that maybe wow, that actually sounded like the very thing you speak against. Are you aware of it? Are you noticing it? Where is that? Where is that in our conversation? Right? Can we have respectful conversation without pointing fingers, without yelling at each other, without ignoring each other's validity? Right? So in a way, maybe this is part of the invitation of this full moon. And I do want to do a little moment of pranayama with you, a little breath work. It's called Nadi Shodhana Pranayama, which in Sanskrit translates as I want to say, well, I don't like that word, but it's purification of the channels of energy. So if we want to turn away from purification and more toward a clearing and an opening, right? So that we can know where to draw the line and then check in again tomorrow. And also because the pranayama moves us side to side, I always feel it in my body, in my system, as an invitation to weave together the sides through the center. So the original, kind of the traditional goal of this breath work, this pranayama, was to purify the central channel through the purification, through the cleaning and clearing of the left and the right, the masculine, the feminine, the reflective and the dynamic, all of it. And we're going to go much deeper into that and more in an upcoming course. And in fact, before we go into this pranayama, I would love to invite you to the Crisis Revolution, which is a new free course. You got nothing to lose, my dear. I would be so delighted to have you, and it's happening really soon. The information is already out. I will leave a link for you in the description of the video, and that is a mythic journey. We're going to play with archetypes, we're going to play with characters, we're going to tell this deep and profound, meaningful story, and we're going to have 3 sessions to work with it. One is going to be a dynamic practice to bring the myth into the body, and the other a more reflective, soft practice to bring it into the body in another way. There's going to be a meditation pranayama session also, and journal prompts. And so it's an in-depth mini course, and it's free. So take advantage of it. It's right there for you. And if you want to kind of experience and explore that moving away and like that falling apart in a way, not moving away, but moving deeper into this expansive place where everything starts to merge with one another, that Piscean kind of quality, that falling apartness into the infinite, and weave it together with cohesion and clarity and the ability to bring things together and connect in a more concrete way and create from that place of dissolution. This is going to be the place for you. So I would love nothing more than for you to experience it and be there. And there's going to be space for community building as well. So all the details are on mamamandala.com. The Crisis Revolution is the name of the course, because we're going to revolutionize how we look at the crisis of the continuous crisis of being alive in the world right now. And again, it's free, so you have nothing to lose, and it's going to be amazing, and it's going to be a great way to connect with one another. So I'd love for you to be there. Click on the link for the Crisis Revolution in the description of the video, and I hope to see you there. And without further ado, a little bit of a pranayama for us. We're gonna bring the index finger and middle fingers down toward the root of the thumb. The thumb, pinky, and ring are extended, and we're gonna turn the hand toward the face. And then allow your eyes to soften. If you feel safe where you are and nourished by the experience of closing your eyes, go for it. Let your eyes close. Mine wanted to close right away, so here we go. But you can soften them, and you can take your time in the transition. And turn your attention to the breath. Just simply, you can let the mudra for a moment rest on your thigh or on your knee. And feel the pulse of the breath, the pulse between two archetypes, the pulse between moving into the ethereal and the expanse of the universe, and moving deeply into the forms and shapes and expressions and experiences of being in this infinite universe. Breathing in that space between, in that eclipse energy, in that space of uncertainty, where you throw yourself into the process of deep transformation. Inhale deeply. Bring a tone to the back of the throat and exhale slowly. Again, deep breath in through the tone in the back of the throat, so the breath makes this resonant sound. And exhale slowly, still through that tone in the back of the throat. And one more time, deep breath in. And this time, bring your ring and pinky finger to your left nostril. I'm not mirroring you. And exhale out through your right side. Still through the tone in the back of the throat. Inhale through the right. Close your right side with your thumb. Keep the left one closed. Hold the breath for a moment. And exhale through your left side. Your left hand can rest on your belly or on your thigh or on your lap. Inhale, left side. Weaving together your sides, your parts. Close both nostrils. And exhale through your right side. Moving between the receptive. Inhale through the right. Close and hold. Moving through the allowing. Exhale through your left side. Inhale left. And moving into action, into form. Close the left, hold the breath, and exhale right. Inhale right. Close and hold. Exhale left. Inhale left. Close and hold. And exhale right. Release the right hand and let it rest wherever you'd like, on your thigh, on your belly, on your lap. Breathe softly through both nostrils, through the tone in the back of the throat. And notice what working with both sides, what working with two archetypes, what's working and cleaning and weaving parts of you is feeling like in your system. ready, you can allow your eyes to open, or if you'd like, you can stay in meditation for longer, for as long as you'd like, as long as feels good. I can't wait to see you in the Crisis Revolution, okay? I cannot wait. It's going to be amazing. And I am so grateful that I got to have this moment with you. So take great care and have a meaningful full moon eclipse. All right. Mwah. Namaste.